Is chiropractic safe? Hi, I'm Dr. Peters with Peters Wellness, Chiropractic and Massage. And in this week's quick video, I wanted to address the topic of is chiropractic safe? One of the main reasons is I had a new patient last week come in and went through the exam process and did everything. And then it was like 2 days later, we got a phone call from her saying, hey, I went to my primary care physician and he thinks I should do physical therapy instead of chiropractic. And so that just was the situation. And in these situations, then I can also think of the medical doctors and orthos that refer patients to me who say, hey, I want you to do some chiropractic. And sometimes they'll do it before physical therapy. Sometimes they'll do it in adjunct with physical therapy, or they'll, it depends on the doctor who is prescribing and depends on what their background is. So we've got medical doctors who aren't fans of chiropractic. We've got medical doctors who are. I was just at a continuing education seminar all day yesterday, and it's amazing. We had an amazing radiologist out of Florida come in and speak to us about disc bulges, disc herniations, and all the things that we can see on MRI studies, and talking about specifically for personal injury and people who have been injured in auto accidents. And when we look at the different sources, so what I did was I went online and I Googled it. And some of the things that pop up on Google, when you look at them deeper, there's no background or supporting evidence, or when you click on the evidence that's supposed to be there, it's like the link is no good. And you're just like, well, how am I supposed to trace back? And so then I thought, well, let's look at and Google back surgeries, or let's Google non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs. And some of the stuff that pops up on there, but it's the same thing. It's like, well, where did this information come from? And some of them you can find good data, but then sometimes you find a couple of them, but the numbers are so different. And you're like, how is a person supposed to decide? So I'm like, well, how can I simplify this process if someone wanted to go to a chiropractor and whether they think it's safe or not? So I put together a little order, and that's why I'm sitting down again. I got some information in front of me, and I just wanted to talk about, it's the new year and people, hey, I want to make my health better. I want to get my finances in order. I want to become better in my field or my career. I want to spend more time with family and friends. I want to make more money. I want to do all these different things. So I thought, well, let's focus on if someone comes in a new year and they're like, man, I want to get my health under control. And I thought, okay, well, what would be a process in order to address that? So I wanted to take it from like looking at health, and it's like having tests done to see how your body is. How is your body functioning? Let's get a grade on a 0 to 10. Let's put your health somewhere in there. 0 being horrible, 10 being amazing, right? Like, hey, you should go out and run a marathon because you're in such amazing shape. So when it comes to health, as far as tests being done, and again, I'm not covering everything, but one of the big things, the MRIs. MRIs are phenomenal. The amount of data we can get is incredible. So, but looking at it, people say, well, I don't want radiation. Well, MRI is a magnet. You're not going to get radiation like you will with an X-ray. So, if you look at it and say, well, what's the safety of an MRI? MRIs are pretty safe. There isn't much that can happen to you. Some people are claustrophobic, so that might be an issue getting into the machine, but they also make larger MRIs, and they even make stand-up MRIs that are more open, but then there's some argument on clarity and things like that. But overall, they're safe. Now, if you've got metal, let's say you've got a neck fusion, they're not going to put you in an MRI to do anything because they want the metal to stay in your body, right? So for someone like that, they might say, well, okay, let's do a CT scan. Now, a CT scan is like a heavy-duty X-ray that gives a lot of data and information. But some people say, like with X-ray or CT, what about the radiation? Well, yeah, but usually you're looking at, does the reward outweigh the risk, right? You're looking at that ratio. Now, if someone is pregnant, you're probably not going to X-ray them unless it's critical, right? Now, if they got something going on, you need to look inside, but they're going to do as little of that as possible because if the woman is pregnant, you don't want to be X-raying them, okay? One of the big things I like is blood work, right? people, I mean, once a year, go get your blood work done, right? I refer out to a naturopath who I like, and she does the blood work on people. That's not something I do in my office, but getting your blood work done every year, that's what I do. I go and I get my blood work done. I look at my numbers. What are my triglycerides? What are my cholesterol? Getting your blood work done is really not that risky. I mean, if you go to a place where they're going to use a clean needle, you're probably pretty safe. So, there is a lot of testing that can be done to give you information. Like with x-rays, you can look at the joints, you can look at the curvatures, and you say, well, what about the radiation? Yeah, there is some radiation risk, but getting in an airplane and flying to Chicago is probably about the same amount of radiation as going and getting a couple of x-rays done. So, really looking at weighing out the risk to the benefit. So, what are some things, obviously you're not going to run down to Valley Radiology and get an MRI because you just want to look at things, but what are some things we can do on our own? And one of the things I thought about is something, I'm just going to go over some of the things that I do and that I recommend. Well, like I went and bought, and in my office I have a Tanita scale, which is bioimpedance, and it looks at your body fat composition, it looks at all these things. Well, I go down to what is it? TJ Maxx or whatever it's called over there, Home Goods. And at Christmas time, and I bought this $20 scale. I stand on in my bathroom at home, and it gives me my weight of my bones. It gives me the weight of my body fat, the fat in my body. It gives me my water weight, and then it also does my body fat composition. So every day I can step on this, and some people say, oh, I don't want to step on it every day. Well, every other day, once a week, whatever that is, look at your numbers. People don't become 100 pounds overweight by accident. You don't gain 10 pounds by accident. And if you have checks and balances, you can step on the scale and say, where am I at today? Wow, I'm up a pound. Okay, I need to be more careful. Another way is a measurement. So I have one of these. It's called a mile tape. Bought it on Amazon. They're awesome. You can just pull it, and now you can put it around your waist or whatever, and then you hit this little button. And that way you're not tightening it too much, and you just look at the measurement and go, okay, I know what my measurement is. And imagine putting that around your waist and your hips maybe once a week or maybe 2 times a week and saying, hey, where are my measurements? Have I gained excess weight? If I gained measurement around my waistline. Now, if you're gaining measurement around your biceps and your chest, you might feel good about it, but not necessarily around the waistline. So it's a good way to look, because people who are overweight or obese do tend to have more diabetes and heart disease. So considering those things will kill people, we would really like to not have that. Another great thing to measure is your flexibility. How hard is it to stand up straight, lock your legs out, bend forward, and try and touch your toes? And then, measuring, where can I get my arms to? And what is my flexibility? Turning your head from side to side. What are those measurements of flexibility? Because joints that lock up and don't move, well, you've heard of arthritis, inflammation of the joints. Well, when joints become inflamed, they don't move as well because of the pain and restriction. So making sure that those movements and those joints and that flexibility is there. Also measuring on a daily basis your aches and pains. When you get up in the morning, you walk in the bathroom. Do your feet hurt? Do you wake up and your hands ache and they're sore, or your neck and shoulder hurt, or you get out of bed and you try to stretch and you're like, oh, my back is so sore. Your body is talking to you. The title of my book, Pain is Fantastic. People look at this and say, what, are you an idiot? Pain isn't fantastic. Pain sucks. When actually that was going to be the original title of my book, is that pain sucks. But pain might suck. It might suck to be in pain, but pain in itself is amazing and fantastic because it tells us something is wrong. People, what they need to do is learn to listen to it. But what do a lot of people turn? They turn to the NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And when doing the search, so I looked, and I don't like to be a medicine basher or anything like that, but when I was looking at the chiropractic, so I'm looking at NSAIDs, listen to this. NSAIDs, again, that's non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Some estimates, now this is just a quick Google search, first thing that popped up. Some estimates suggest that each year more than 100,000 patients are hospitalized from NSAIDs due to related gastrointestinal complications alone. So this is just for the people come in, they have GI problems because of the NSAIDs. So, and then they just say the direct cost of this ranges from $1,800 to $8,500 per patient per hospitalization. So, let's average it out. Say 4,000 times $100,000, or 100,000 people times $4,000. Do the math on what that is costing us, okay? Now, moreover, it has been reported that 16,500 persons die annually from these complications. Now, this popped up, it says November 2013, so it's a little old, but some of the studies I see out there are much older. But 16,500 people dying from simple over-the-counter medications. And I'm just like, wow, because people are taking these, and that's a lot of complications from it. But basically, it's like no matter what you do, now measuring yourself, you're probably not going to get hurt, right? But let's take it to the next level. It's like, okay, what can you do for yourself? You're measuring your body's aches and pains, you're paying attention, you're looking at your measurements, your flexibility, you're looking at your scale. So what are the things that we can do to get ourselves healthier? Yoga, and I've written these down. Pilates, doing cardio, running, walking, depending on your health level. For some people, a walk around the block would be a huge step in the right direction, right? Put the freaking remote control down, set your phone down, get up and go for a walk. It's one reason why pets are good for our health, because if you got a puppy, you got to take it for a walk, right? Weight training, right? Something we can do, weight training. Working with a trainer to reduce that risk. And you say, well, yoga and Pilates, totally safe. Well, I've had people strain and get hurt doing yoga or Pilates. They do it in a classroom setting. They maybe go beyond their capacity of what they should do, and they strain themselves a little bit. Taking a walk, you could roll your ankle while you're doing that. There's a risk involved in these things, especially working out and weight training and weightlifting. Some people get into it, they hit it too hard. They don't warm themselves up over a period of a week or 2 or 3 because they haven't done anything for a long time. So those are a lot of things you can do on your own. I really recommend for the weight training and cardio that you would work with a trainer. I go to Lifetime Fitness. They got some amazing trainers there. So now, what are things that you can do for your health that you would go and get even more professional help? Well, physical therapy is great. I recommend a lot of people. There's some great, Spooner Physical Therapy is here. They used to be in my building. Now they're in the next building. They have a fantastic facility. It's beautiful. They've got intelligent people to work with you. Now, the other step would be going to your MD, your medical doctor, or your PCP, or primary care physician, and they can refer you out to physical therapy. They might recommend you go to a chiropractor. They recommend you go to an acupuncturist. So that would be, chiropractic, acupuncture. Then taking it a step further, what about going to the neurologist? A lot of insurance require that you'd see your primary first, then they go to a neurologist or an orthopedic surgeon. And the reality is, let's say you end up having surgery. Well, how many people I have come in who've got spinal fusions either in their neck or in their lower back, or they've had their hip or hips replaced, or their knee or knees replaced. So getting these people who are looking after us to work together in unison to say, hey, you know what, this looks like, I want you to do, 10 sessions of physical therapy, or I want you to do 15 sessions of chiropractic, and then come back and we'll rate your pain measurements. Because if you look at the cost, like an MRI, if you're paying cash for it, might be, say, $1,000. Well, in a chiropractic setting, that could be a course of care that could resolve your problem in that time frame. So the point being, and this video went long, but this is just such a topic that it's phenomenal, because if you look, almost everything you look at, there's risk involved to everything. Even looking at dietary, last week I talked about whole grains. And there's just these arguments on one side or the other. Oh, you shouldn't stay away from whole grains. Oh, you should eat whole grains. You should stay away from meat. Oh, you should eat more meat. And you got to experiment and look at yourself and get to know yourself, know your measurements. What is your body fat composition? It's easy, $20 scale. You do it at home, and it's unless you have a pacemaker, bioimpedance is good. So there's even a risk there. So I may have created more questions than what I answered, but if you have questions, reach out to me. Put a message here on this, ask a question, send me an email at drpeters@peterswellness.com. This is a topic, we could just pick one of these topics and talk about it for the next 8 weeks, because when it comes to our health, if you don't have your health, people will spend their money to get their health back. And it's not worth losing your health to get something in return. It's not worth losing your family to work hard and lose your family in the process. It's having some balance and counterbalance, that if you have a few nights where you're only getting 3-4 hours of sleep because you're working hard or you're taking care of a family member, then getting that balance back and catching up on that. And sometimes that can be difficult because everyone is so busy and we have so much going on. So get your priorities straight. Write down what's important to you. And when it comes to your health, go get your blood work done. Look at your numbers. Come in, get an x-ray. I refer out to a Valley Radiologist or Simon Med, and people get their x-rays and come back and we look at those, because we don't want to have inflammation of those joints. We want you to feel good. So have a great week. And if you have any questions, please ask. Doctor means teacher or educator, and I want to help teach and educate you how to make your life better.